strolling, though their ass a holin'. If your poo starts flowing, you die. Through rain and wind and weather, being friends together, wishes are granted as the prize. The one who is the fastest gets to shoot the Jedi fascist, outlasting all these other studly guys. Move them out, walk them long, gun them down, chew the gum. Barkovich is a bitch, Green Mile. I can't stop staying stuff. Someone help. Abe, shut up. Gun them long, walk the move, long walk. Long walk, rawhide, long walk. Yeah, Canyon Arrow. Yeah, long walk, long walk. It's the cock of the walk.
It's a long walk down a long cock, which is a line from one of your raps that I remember.
If you hit trouble, call Ong Bak. Yeah. That was when Ong Bak was a rhyme people would go, I know what that is.
Yeah. And that's a rap that you wrote when you were in college about how big your dick is, right?
It's called True Story. You can look it up on YouTube. But for now, you've stumbled into a much more thought out, interesting thing, which is my partner there, Abe Epperson, and myself, Michael Swaim, the Kings of King, talking about The Long Walk, recently released in theaters, the latest Stephen King adaptation. Is that even fair to say? They're coming out all the time. I'm like, there might be another one since then, but
it is the most recent.
Okay, great.
As of this recording, now. I think he has another one this year. But it's also what I learned in research. This is the first story he wrote that he actually ended up getting published. I'm sure he rewrote it time after time.
Oh, in his life. Wow.
But in his life, it was his first story.
That's cool.
That he started writing when he was 19.
Very fascinating. That casts an interesting framing around the stuff that I know I'm going to say. And of course, I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm interested to find out. I do think it was a pretty interesting movie for discussion. I am excited about this episode. In my notes, I wrote, just say long walk until Abe makes you stop. But I didn't have the courage to do it.
No, it's, I imagine like it explains a lot of like why like the Teen Beat and all the Christina Aguilera songs.
Oh, well, you saying that makes me immediately realize that it's got, the Stand By Me elements are pretty clear.
Yeah.
You know.
So are the Running Man elements.
And the Americana classic kid with his jeans rolled up who would have a baseball card in his bicycle. That's me. Yeah. Like, that's clearly who Stephen King is inside.
Makes me realize that, like, Death Race is like an OG, you know? Like, Running Man.
It's an OG all the way up to Hunger Games, Running Man. Yeah, right. All that shit.
Yeah, like
Maze
Hunger
Runner.
Games and Battle Royale are actually basic bitches at this point.
Battle Royale is the one I used to always point to and go, that's actually the origin of this concept.
Yeah, which is the furthest from the truth, right?
Which, of course. Well, and then I love
Hunger Games.
I find
and
this
all young adult shit.
Game fun, but you know, this happens online. There is nothing new under the sun, itself being an old observation. But like, you know, people online will go, no.
Logan's Run.
Soprano wasn't the first prestige drama. It was Oz. And you'll be like, no, it was DS9 because they had a continuous story. And they'll be like, no, before that, there were a cycle of plays that ran for 100 years. Because, you know, like people have thought of all these things before ever. But in our lifetimes, I think we might have, this is a really old OG. It feels really primal and raw. And that's part of that is it feels so basic, right? It's stripped down. So should we like strip it down and march it down the road naked in our first segment?
Yes, let's do it
Let's do it to it. This segment's called Under the Dome.
Our best guess puts the dome at 20,000 feet, sir.
Did he just call it a dome?
You think we might be stuck in here a while?
And I, stripped down. I only say because it's pretty straightforward. I think if people listening have seen the trailer, they'll know the concept. But then, Abe, you made a point of saying you had some good Under the Dome notes, so I'll pass the mic to you. But I'll just say the overall premise is in a near future American post-Civil War depression dystopia where everything's run down and sort of dust bowl coated and shitty, sort of like Hunger Games without the rich bastion. Like we never see the rich part. It seems like the whole country's pretty fucked. Every year they have a Hunger Games or Shirley Jackson's The Lottery like thing. where 50 boys, I think it's important that it's specifically boys and very American, are selected at random to participate in a death march. You walk as far as you can. If you can't walk fast enough or you stop, they shoot you in the back of the head. There's no finish line, but the last living boy is not poor anymore and gets all his dreams come true, and he gets a special wish. He gets to make a wish even. That's how fucking trite it is. And, it's presented as, of course, Mark Hamill as the big bad representing the government. This is presented as like The Purge does. And this is how we keep society together. Like, this is what we do. We do this every year. And it's just tradition now. So fuck you, do it. And we follow the boys who are doing it this year. Abe, please take it away.
Money and wishes.
It's a Running Man.
And they give him like rations and water, and they drive next to him with a tank.
You get one change of shoes, unlimited water, but no food. It's that kind of rules.
Like no one can obstruct the walk, because they have the army there. And
if you snap, you can just run off the road, and they'll shoot you immediately. You can just quit.
Exactly. So the title kind of explains that. Like the first, you get a super that comes up, Money and Wishes, and we were introduced first to Ray, who's Cooper Hoffman, Licorice Pizza, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, and mom, Judy Greer. And they're driving to the Long Walk starting line. So we are just off to the races, literally. And the boys all arrive at the starting line. And Ray immediately meets Pete, and they are friendly. And Pete's our, number 2 for,
on the call sheet, probably. Well, Mark, not counting Mark Hamill, who probably just gets number 1 for reasons.
Right. And they're all pleasant to each other. We get a classic Stephen King scene, where it's just a bunch of boys being boys, palling around, making jokes about dirty stuff, butts and sex.
Here's his deal. Get to know him.
Yeah. Oh, he's a nerd type. Oh, he's a jock, that kind of stuff.
He's the guy who's only going to say, I fucked your mom jokes. And that's his whole way of interacting. A Stephen King character.
And then there's other people kind of throwing him the side eye, and you're like, they don't talk at all. And you're like, I bet you might be a bully. And we'll probably be right about that. And then we're introduced into the Mark Hamill, AKA the Major, who supervises the walk. He's basically the guy who's going to be yelling out the orders, being the drill sergeant, and saying, making sure that everything goes well. He's also kind of a zealot for this whole experience. And he has some flowery language, like, it takes heavy sack to sign up for this,
male.
Boys.
You have to be male to do it is clearly intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, show your work ethic. You represent the fight against laziness. So it's like this kind of coded language that is like, we're supposed to do this thing. We don't talk about why we do the thing, but we have these broad generalizations from the top in a very much Hunger Games style way. That is like, this is why we do it. And it's not really explained, but he hints at that it's laziness, that like other countries from the perspective of the United States are ones that don't exhibit this greatness that you are doing this. Also, somehow this will increase our GDP. I don't see how that's true. Because it's not like, I guess it's making a product because it's broadcast. Though we never see that. That's another unique
Well, there's
aspect.
camera lenses in a tank that rolls alongside them. So again, it's not like Hunger Games where there's cameras all around. There's a really stripped down single cam just watching them the whole time. And you're right, we never see people at home watching it. We don't know like how it's gussied up on TV or anything.
But it's pretty clearly like this was started to be written in the late 60s. So Vietnam people immediately attached to. We'll talk more about that later.
Oh, and they don't let spectators watch. So there's like no giant crowds. It's not like gladiatorial combat where there's crowds everywhere, or Hunger Games where there's crowds everywhere.
Right. There are in the bigger cities.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because you can stay if you live. If you live there, you can stay
through
where
like
you live.
middle America. So it's mostly nothing. And it's, in fact, they don't describe the state, even though Stephen King.
I think it's Iowa.
It's probably Maine or, Midwest.
I thought they
looks
talked
like
about
Midwest.
it. Well, he mentions a couple cities by name that I know are in Iowa. But
Freeport,
which
doesn't exist.
Right. There's multiple cities with the same name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's cornfields and nothing. Kansas kind of
First interaction we kind of get after they start walking, the starter pistol's fired. We get a kid who gets a rock in his shoe, and he gets 3 warnings. So you get 3 strikes, and then if you get after the 3rd strike, if you still do not obey, you get shot. And there's an hour cooldown. This is just the rules of the game to clear any strikes. So if you get 3 strikes in a row, immediately in an hour, you'll be good again. But it does mean you might get shot in one more infraction. And this the story kind of plays with that. People get infractions all the time. It doesn't seem to mean anything, and then they forget it, stuff like that. It's not told to us exactly. We learn what Mark Hamill says, you give up your ticket. We learn what that means. Also, Judy Greer crying that you actually get executed. We see it for the first time when a kid can't get a rock out of his shoe quick enough. And then that's most of the movie. It's back and forth, kind of serpentine scenes between someone dying and them philosophically talking about what's going on. And it's walk and talk.
Straight up walk and talk, die, walk and talk, die, walk and talk, die.
Is Ray making a great point that although the boys all volunteered, like it's kind of like a draft, but everyone volunteers, everyone wants it. And he kind of brings up the fact that it's not their choice. In a kind of Plato's cave way, they only see what they see, and what they see is the squalor around them. This is an opportunity for that one. It's the lottery ticket, right? So they're told the way out of that, and they believe it. And Ray makes a point that the free will isn't exactly free at that point, because all they know is that this is the only way you could get out of squalor. It's the literal only way in the United States anyone can get rich, it seems. The landscape is littered with broken down cars and homes. People stand on their stoop and watch. There's a heavy sense of religion, lots of churches, even abandoned ones, and a character who actually loves the Bible, even though it's not like dwelled upon.
It's really Grapes of Wrathy. It's like Dust Bowl imagery of like, we're so poor that all we have is our Bible and this bread stew that we eat, and we're fucking miserable, and we wear shabby brown clothes.
Soviet Union, Soviet Russia as well, around that time would probably be some of the touchstones for King. Mm-hmm. The next interaction is a boy named Curly who gets a Charlie horse, and he's executed promptly, and everyone, that rattles Ray. And we learn that Ray is kind of a celebrity.
Well, and I would argue,
we don't know why.
Sorry, Curly is sort of sweatily, just because we'll never come back to him, I don't think, because I didn't gather it. He's just the one to show how he's like the sacrificial lamb to show how the system works. So I think it's funny that he's the youngest by far and totally has the energy of the kid from that Simpsons who's like, sure we will, Mr. Homer, sure we will. He's sure like, this is going to be fine, guys. And he just gets fucking shot, brains on the pavement immediately. Yeah, and they're like, do you understand the type of movie we're doing? Great, let's move on.
Yeah, we're gonna Game of Thrones you up and down. Yeah. And so Curly gone, and this rattles Ray. And Ray is kind of a celebrity because we learn that this is at his home state. So people are like rooting for him in particular. So there's like some state infighting apparently, which would make sense in a depressive, kind of dystopian America. There would be any excuse to create division lines between the poor
and root for your hometown boy or whatever.
Again, we don't know why, which is kind of one of the themes of this, this whole thing.
Well, and then I thought super crazy, but as they drive away, Judy Greer, such a powerful performance of a mom watching her son march away potentially to death, lifts her shirt up and says, get a good look because you won't be seeing these for a while. I thought that was weird, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
And then she has a cooler that
yeah, that's right. Says Saddam Hussein backwards, something like that.
There's always money in the long walk. So another boy has a seizure from assumedly, like it's just a medical condition. He gets bam executed. Ray, we learned, is also fairly resourceful because like a scene later, Hank, who is one of like the core group, there's like 4, they call themselves like kind of the 4 musketeers. They're the 4 first ones that we follow that kind of create a kinship. And
talk about an OG trope too. Like how many groups of likable kids have called themselves the Musketeers since this was written?
Right. Yeah. And they make a joke. There's only 3 musketeers. It's like, there can be 4. which, if I recall, is one.
I think there are
parts
4, isn't it?
the Musketeers.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But he gets a Charlie horse, and Ray uses. They all have these like on their wrists, these speedometers that have readouts that tell you like what your speed is, and he says, okay, we're going to like 3.6 right now. Let's slow down to 3.1 and maybe your Charlie horse will like diminish and go away slowly.
We didn't say it, but
freaking
3 is the cutoff where they start warning you and shoot you. Yeah.
And they do, and his Charlie horse goes away. So we learn Ray is one of the he's a leadership kind of guy. He's like, I'm here for you. I'm like, his heart's in the right place. And in addition, he can solve shit. Also, he gives him his rations. So he's like, okay, so not only that, you are also not only resourceful in a leadership role, but you're also a kind man. And that's when we introduce our bully, Barkovich. What a name for a bully. He eggs on another boy who tries to fight him with your usual bully stuff. I fucked your mom, you're gay, kind of that kind of stuff.
It's so funny because his very first image at postcard, which makes sense that it was written, but I'm wondering why they didn't update it for the adaptation, is he flips off a cop. And not just that I hate cops in real life, and it's that time of life in America right now, but also I think in the 60s or as coded, like, so he has long hair and a hippie headband and he flips off a cop. I was ready for that kid to be really cool. And then he's like a huge prick. I was surprised.
I think it's more of the
he was a good guy.
I think it's more Stephen King doing the thing of like, this is what a government does to people who talk against it. So
right.
Even though he's
he made himself a target. Yeah. But also he does do the work of, or at least the film, I haven't read the book, but they do the work of rounding him out in terms of, later he has sequences where he like tries to make a joke and it doesn't go over. And then he's like, fuck you all, then you're all gay. So like you can understand why he's a bully without even unpacking it too much.
It's a learned response.
He's a lonely weirdo and he just doesn't know it that well.
We'll get to the scene where he does that. But initially, when they have the scene of, okay, show me a bully, which we've all seen that scene many, many times in many movies.
In King, especially.
And it usually ends with, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But it's clear in this one that he's not Henry Bowers of It. He's not a psychopath. He immediately shows remorse as soon as he eggs the boy on. The boy falls, can't get up, gets shot. He realizes, oh, I just got a kid killed. I didn't actually think that was going to happen. My God. But then he immediately puts up the defenses of,
that wasn't my fault.
I meant that.
Like most of us were going to die anyway. And then then he hyperventilates and hits himself in the head. And you're like, oh, so he's unhappy.
And you're like, okay, so this is it's a little bit more of a complex bully.
He's a troubled danger, not a evil sociopath danger. Yeah.
So after some scenes of walking, a lot of walking in this movie, Ray kind of snaps. Our main guy, despite Pete being very like friendly, all of this is too much, and Ray starts to kind of slow down. Like we start to feel that the walk is troubling them at this point, and we're like, think 50, 60 miles in, and they get this hill that is like drops probably half the population on this hill. Ray gets 3 strikes almost immediately. And this makes him kind of snap at Pete, who's been his friend. They've been having fun, joking, telling each other about their lives. And all these boys get shot because they all just can't make the hill because they just slow down. And it seems like...
And we didn't mention, sorry, but there's the guy Stebbin, whose his whole point is he's the guy who's trained for this his whole life and somehow always thought he would end up doing this. And he's just quietly always dispensing factoids. So he's going like, on average, 14 of the kids die on this hill. In 69, they lost more than half the kids on this hill. And he just can't take it eventually. And it's like, he's got like real, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
He's got a real proud boy.
Yeah.
Like,
know the enemy.
Just because like, I'm prepared for this. I'm waiting for this with his rifle or whatever. Yeah. But the point is, Ray has this panic attack and Pete calms him down. Like, he's like, dude, you're cool. I'm going to help you. And he like grabs him and they walk together at 3, miles per hour. And immediately after this, and they get over the hump, Ray apologizes for snapping at the top of the hill. And he's like, I'm so sorry I did that. I can't believe I did that. So we learn that they're a support system for each other. And also when one of them fucks up, they have accountability. So that's good. One of the kinder boys, I forget his name, rolls his ankle. He gets shot, and that's pretty brutal because his ankle's like totally fucked. It's like he's got a broken ankle, and he's just like, well, at that point.
I mean, the kid is writing a book.
Yeah.
Who's the Stephen King stand-in? Also funny.
Yeah.
There's a kid who's like, a little younger than Stephen King would be when he wrote this. And he's just there to witness it and write a book. And that's his interest in being there. And he acts vaguely like Stephen King might.
Which is a dumb idea.
But it's fine. It's all fine.
But I think the important point or notable point about his death or his execution is that two small children, like we're talking 6 to 8 years old, on bikes. So it's already Americana coded.
That's the social
with
commentary.
Their striped shirts and like, oh boy, I'm going to go to space, Dad. That kind of kid. They pull up.
Dirty and hollow eyed and like malnourished looking.
Right.
Yeah.
Not starry eyed.
No.
They ride up on their bikes and they're like, oh shit, an execution's about to go down. And some of the other walkers yell like, get away from here.
You don't
do not witness this crime.
But they're like, no, we're 7 now. We want to see the headshot. We're 8 and 9. We're big boys. Yeah. It's like
at like 100 miles. I think there's like 16, 17 boys left. Mm-hmm. The boys talk about their wish. So there's a big thing about you get all the money that you could ever want, but it's all about the wish. You could wish for something that money even can't buy, and they'll give it to you. And they talk about it in the past. Someone got a pet elephant.
You loved him. His name was Stampy. Oh, yeah.
One teen wants to go to the moon.
Which I love because there's no way they wouldn't fulfill that. There's no way America's launching a moon mission at this point.
Not
in
at
my
this
opinion.
point,
yeah.
But whatever.
But the idea is they'd give you anything that they reasonably could. I guess.
I assume. Yeah, it's not really detailed. Another one asks for 10 ladies, and they all laugh about
10 naked ladies. Yeah,
10 naked ladies, and they're all like, "You could buy 10 naked ladies," and he's like, "No, I don't want to buy them." He's like, "Someone would have to buy the 10 naked ladies. This is dumb. You should ask for something that money can't buy." And so we get to Pete, who says that his, you know what? Oh no, we get to Ray. No. Pete says this.
Pete says I'm not gonna. I answer.
I had a wish for a long time. I always knew what I was, but I've changed it in the last 2 days.
Like on the walk. But I'm not going to reveal it yet, I think he says.
No, he reveals it in this one. He doesn't reveal what his old wish was. Right. But his new wish is that now that he's had this friend with Ray for 2 days and they've really supported each other, his wish would to be make the long walk have 2 winners so that friends can win.
Oh, because of course, rule number 1 is they mention later is you can't wish that the government disbands or they stop the long walk. Like that's all baked in. Yeah. But he's like, I wonder if you could wish that there's 2, because I think friendship is an important
friendship's
theme.
Important.
Yeah.
And it's also the very centrist, like we'll change from the inside. Maybe we'll make it slightly
can compromise
better.
with the devil a bit. Yeah.
And finally, Ray says his wish will be to change things. Maybe even try to cancel the long walk somehow. But he alludes to that, and everyone's like, that's not possible. But it does reveal and lead to a discussion about what changing the long walk would actually be like. And it leads to the entire group of kids deciding to speak their mind against the major and the walk itself, culminating in all the boys chanting, "Fuck the long walk, fuck the major. What are you going to do? Kill us?" And of course, the army just stone-faced ignores it. But
and I love that capitalism always
all do it together.
Capitalism always subsumes, criticisms of itself. So, of course, when the major later, they'll do it to him. Or anytime the major gets flack in the movie, he's like, haha, I love it. I love to see that fighting spirit, boys. Use it. Yeah, part of the evil is they don't care. You can insult them. That's allowed. You're still going to get shot in the back of the head on television like a dog. Like it doesn't matter.
You're already in prison. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, buddy? We've muzzled you. Pete and Ray continue to help each other. We could kind of get an explanation of how these kids are sleeping. Apparently, I don't even think this is true. You can keep walking and fall asleep, maybe in short spurts, but I doubt for 6 days in a row.
I've specifically heard that trope about Vietnam soldiers, like that mythos about them. So I wonder if it was in the zeitgeist around the time he was composing this. Yeah.
Because like Pete and Ray say like, all right, you go to sleep and I'll make sure you don't like fall down, but like you can continuously walk at 3 miles an hour while you're sleeping. And they go, that's really weird. I was dreaming about my mom and stuff.
I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah. And you and the audience are like, is it? Okay.
They play catch, which is severely Stephen King coded. Like both of these kids don't have dads and they're throwing a baseball to each other.
Right.
We find out from Ray that the major killed his father for speaking dangerous ideas and not pledging allegiance to America, basically, which is a big scene. Judy Greer's crying. They're like, no, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. And he somehow represents the counterculture or, the revolution. And that he confides to Pete that he's going to kill the major because he killed his father. And he says, that's going to be a part of my wish. I'll tell you that. And he's like, yo, shut up. Don't say that shit. And then they talk about what that would ultimately accomplish, which, Pete's still on I don't think it would accomplish anything at this point.
Well, because there's so much walking, we're skipping past them because they would be tedious to termite analyze. But of course, in between, a thing someone as a TNG fan, I must appreciate, they have a bunch of just philosophical conversations that aren't to drive the plot forward, but are the guys questioning, how could government work differently? Or how does this boost the GDP? They have some of the conversations and dive into the questions we're asking. Like if you shoot him, okay, let's say you shoot him in the head on national TV. Do you actually think it would end? Wouldn't they just replace him with another guy? They're kind of having some of these discussions as they walk along, which is cool, I think.
Absolutely. It does have the vibe of like a TNG style thing. I think it's.
And you mentioned Plato. It feels like philosophical at points.
Yes. Yeah. Several others get killed or shot by like just straight up exhaustion, and they like just sit down, give up.
Or you get diarrhea and you can't go fast enough, or you snap and you run into the dark and get shot on purpose.
Or you
Various
try to
things
escape.
Happen. Yeah.
One kid tries to run toward the tank, and the tank just keeps going forward, and it runs
crushes
him over
his legs,
which is kind of humorous in its absurdity and like a black humor kind of idea, where it's like, oh. The soldiers, this kid is bleeding out. Half of his body is ripped apart from this tank.
Yeah.
And they're still chanting, yeah, you got to get on. That's your first,
this is your final warning. 10, 9. And he's like, just do it. Just fucking do it.
Yeah. He's just like, what? I can't walk anymore.
It's like cruelty is the point. Or this is obviously so resonant in America now. Like, we don't know what he said to get in trouble. And I have to guess that Ray got intentionally put on the list because, it doesn't seem like a fair lottery, because by the end we find out the majors personally placed several people on this death march for personal reasons. And I'm like, he may as well have said, trans rights or human rights. Like it's pretty clear satire.
It's pretty
American
simplistic.
Fascism. It's pretty straightforward.
The important death though, is that one of the boys tries to like attack the tank. And
the wiseacre kid who's chewing gum and talking about fucking your mom. He goes out in a blaze of glory and he kills one of the pigs.
And he gets shot. Well, no, not this one yet. He gets shot.
Oh, we're saying.
And one of the boys tries to run back and help the kid who's gotten shot. And then
that one was rough
he
too.
might get killed. And Hank steps in, and one of the boys tries to help Hank. And he's pulled away and saved by Ray, who says like, dude, he's already shot. You got to keep going. You got to survive. So we show that once again, it's Ray who will save others.
Yeah.
Day 4, 200 miles in, there's like 6 boys left. And they learn that the Hank, who was the one who got shot after attacking the tank, was married. And they all talk about whoever wins, let's send the money to his widow.
But that is why they let him bleed out, was because he killed one of the guards, right? Isn't he who killed one of the guards?
He gets shot because...
And the rule is they don't shoot you in the head. They let you bleed out slowly.
They let you bleed out.
So his death is screaming, this is all wrong. This is wrong. It's all wrong. Right. As they walk away, really chilling.
He doesn't shoot a soldier yet. That's later, the Native American guy.
Right, Parker.
There's 6 boys left, and they learn that Hank was married. They give money to the widow. And Barkovich, our bully, kind of comes in and he's like, hey, Ray, man, you know how you were just talking earlier about giving money to the widow? Why didn't you include me? I feel excluded. I feel like you guys have a gang now. And now that it's the majority.
Or you think I'm the kind of person that wouldn't want to give a widow money? I would do that. Right. I'm a nice guy.
I would give her so much money. She would be fine. And Ray's like, okay, cool, man.
Cool,
and
man.
he's like,
good.
and Barkovich keeps saying, like, I feel guilty about how I always acted. I always get on the wrong foot with people, and I'm excluded from your kind of gang that now represents the majority of the 6 boys left. So he's apologetic, and we also can see that he's like kind of losing his mind. He's hitting himself.
It's disturbing.
It's disturbing.
You're like, oh, he's gonna snap any second.
Yeah, because he knows he's been an asshole, and he knows that no one cares about him, and he sees all these people helping each other out, and he's, I think, realizing no one will help me.
But I love it. I like it so much better than Henry Bowers because he's not just. It's more disturbing for my money than Henry Bowers. It's not like this guy's fucking crazy. Watch out!
Wow.
It's like, oh no, he does know how wrong. He's thinking thoughts like, everyone hates me and they're right to. I'm a monster.
Right.
And you're like, oh, that's when people do truly fucked up, desperate shit, right? And he does.
And he does, because so Ray's like, no, yeah, I'll talk to Pete and you'll be in the gang and stuff like that. And he starts talking to, he's like, all right, get away from me now. I'm going to go talk to Pete. And that, I think, sends him off, because then he feels alone. And then he runs up in the front, turns around, stabs himself with the spoon that he's been eating his rations with in his neck. So he just offs himself.
See, I hate myself too, almost. Yeah.
Right, which is a real suicide in this kind of dystopian thing. That's real dark.
Yeah.
We're about 280 miles in. The bottom of Ray's shoe falls off, and so he takes off both shoes because he's like, that imbalance will fuck you up more than even, just having bare feet. And he sees his mom, because they're at like Freeport now, and it's been talked about how since you're in your hometown, or you're in your home state, your mom will be able to see you at one point, which they've discussed in previous chats. Is that even a good thing? I actually don't want to see my family after this, because I might actually run toward them, kind of thing. Which is what he does, because he runs back to apologize to his mom. He's like, I'm sorry, this was a terrible idea. I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm so sorry, Mom. And Pete pulls him away once again from his mother before he's shot in front of his mom. And Pete says that they have a great scene where Pete and Ray talk about how he's like, dude, you've been walking for like 5 days. I've been walking my whole entire life, as a metaphor to say, my parents died when I was young. I was bouncing between foster homes. Like, there was no system for me to fall through.
I have zero, no mentor, never,
I
ever.
started being violent, and I got stabbed, and I had this brutal attack, and it made me realize that I've been choosing darkness because I hated the world. And I promised to myself the day that I got out of that hospital that I'd only see the light from here on in. And your philosophy, the idea, like, because you've been protected, because you've had some goodness in your life, you actually it's clear you despise these people. You despise the major, you despise everyone. And I refuse to do that.
Because it makes my life less pleasant, and I just want to be in peace at this point. Like, fuck all this. Yeah. He's very like, I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah, he's processed this more than Ray has, obviously. And
they call each other brothers, basically.
If I can read the lines, they are short. I was pretty impacted by them, so I just wanted to read them. I choose to always find the light in the darkness, and you know what, Ray? I have to work fucking hard at that. I've been walking my whole life, and you know what I could have used? A brother. So if you win this, I suggest you choose love and go home to your mom, because you're a good fucking kid, and you deserve that.
Well done,
Good
Pete.
line. Good line. Yeah.
306 miles in, there's 5 left. The boys agree not to help each other to lessen their own hardship, because it's only going to
close to the end.
It's only going to prolong it. We're all basically falling apart. And Collie, who's been the angry boy from the start, he's the Native American boy, which I don't think is in the novel. That's an update. He's the one who grabs the soldier's rifle because he's just like, I can't take any more of this, which at this point, most of the deaths are. And he actually shoots the soldier. Like, the soldier's like looking away, which is kind of funny to me that they've been like on it the whole time, like Panopticon style. And this time they're just like, oh, looking around. But he kills a soldier, but then immediately another soldier shoots him. So once he himself is shot, he turns his rifle on himself, shoots himself in the neck, all while singing a Native American song or hymn, which I think, given the source material and the Americana of it all, is actually like a slam dunk.
Brilliant
I think
thing too, and it's I looked it up because I was so wanted to make sure. Not that Stephen King's not woke enough in 1969 or like
Right.
shame on him, but slam dunk, relevant, modern, like that's the kind of adaptation move that I think is to be lauded. It's like, well, if you're going to talk Americana, A, make one of these kids native. B, make him the one that is fucking the righteous sword of justice, like, and sacrificial. Like, I think they did that. Not
Killing
that all of native, story can be reduced to that, but I do think it's a very good move.
And then let him, and when he ends things, he's doing it on his own terms, because none of this is on anyone's terms, which is relevant.
But he also is the kid, just in terms of physicality, that when you see him at the top, you're like, well, he'll be in the top 5.
Yeah.
You always assume he's going to win. Yeah.
Right. Art, who is the boy who's been saying the Four Musketeers the whole time, and hey, we're having a good time. He starts to bleed from the nose because the others deduce, he's having a brain hemorrhage, which I thought it's funny because
Stebbin, the guy who just quietly always says fun facts, is the guy. He goes, he's probably having an internal hemorrhage. It's pretty common at this point in the race.
Pretty common.
Yeah.
Pretty common. So, I mean, it's all fantasy. This is an alternate reality of the 70s. I don't know. But apparently,
if you walk for
common.
5 days, you'll have a brain hemorrhage.
I guess that's true. It is highly stressful. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a walk doctor. So before stopping, he's like
beautiful
bleeding
shot
from the nose. He thanks Ray and Pete, and then he asks, "Don't watch while I get shot. I'm going to stop now." And they're like, okay. And he does, and he gets...
And I want to describe the shot because it's just a rig that's a simple, straight dolly track back. Probably not a track because it would have been in the shot, but just backing up with the actors facing you, walking towards the camera.
Yeah.
And he just sort of goes like, all right, gentlemen, and he like slumps off of their shoulders because they've been supporting him. And the focal plane draws with the move, which is a conscious choice by the team, right? Rather than to shift the focal plane. So he smoothly becomes a little blur until you can barely even tell that it's a guy. And then he gets headshot and falls down. And it's really a nice shot.
Pretty good shot. 3 left. And that's where...
Because he didn't want you to see it.
That's where Hamill goes, flex that sack and you'll get the prize.
Crunch your nuts, boys.
Boys.
You're like, fuck are you even talking about? Leave us alone.
You keep talking about your sacks. Stebbins is slowly been getting sick the whole time. Yeah. So he's like the prepper. He's the guy who knows everything about the long walk.
Who's going to win because he knows it. Yeah, that's
and he's
his
like,
angle.
what the fuck? I never am sick. What are the chances that I would get like pneumonia or like the flu? On the 5-day stretch of the walk. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Like it's happened sometimes, but that has been obviously taxing his system.
You're in a new area.
Much
might have
worse.
New germs. You're not.
He's like, I can feel like my liver is giving up and stuff.
He's almost like a superhuman or a metahuman where I'm like, really? You can tell. Like, my kidneys are only at 65% capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
I will lower my heart rate to match. All right.
It's like, all right, David. But before we get his conclusion, he tells the others that he's one of the many illegitimate children of the Major, which I did not expect this story doing, about how instrumental the Major is and how much he represents. Like, it isn't some other cop, it isn't some other commander, he's doing all this shit to America.
Fucking wives, killing dads, just not a nice Jedi.
Just crushing ass. And so but
also I would say, did you take this way? To me, that implies that it's also rigged, not a true lottery.
Yes, it's not a lottery.
They probably reserve 10 spots for themselves to throw in kids they want to kill.
I want to kill
like Ray and Stebbins. Yeah.
Well, a lot of them are volunteers, but like I'm sure they have to fill it out.
I guess I would believe in this dystopia that it's rigged.
For sure.
I would believe it's rigged.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a very tight story loop. There's not a lot of pieces playing around. As we get to our conclusion here, in the rain, after 5 days, 330 miles, they arrive at the main street of another small town with citizens gathered to cheer them on and see the last survivor. And maybe a sweet, sweet execution. Out of the blue, Pete stops walking and Ray pulls him up. He's like, no, you got to keep going, even though they're the last two. And after they both get some strikes being chanted at them,
going, no, you go, no, you win. No,
Which
I can't watch you die.
I thought was really well done because
Yeah.
they do it all on audio. We don't get a shot of like if you were to do this as like the Hunger Games or something like that, you cut back to Stanley Tucci going like that's number 2, and like or like
right, and the
Running Man.
strings would go,
And it's like it's a, you know, and stuff to
they
build
don't
that.
play it like that.
They don't play it like that. In fact, it's sneaky because
It's Joey's just number 47, warning number 2.
Ray gets a third strike, and we kind of don't know that he's gotten his third strike, but he knows he's gotten it. And for some reason, it doesn't really like, because Pete's kind of, you know,
They've been walking for
he's
5
freaking
days.
out. He's
Yeah,
freaking
yeah.
out. Yeah, any reason you can choose. But Ray stops for a split second, fooling Pete in the same way that kind of we got earlier, where he just kind of slumps off.
I know our listeners will appreciate this. It totally struck me as the very sad, serious, tragic version of the great shot in Hot Fuzz where the twins bounce in and out of frame at each other. Because it's like he at the last second goes like, "Oh, tricked you, you win."
Tricked you.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, it's a double flip, and obviously you're here.
Our hero
you're getting spoiled.
takes the L, dude.
Our hero takes the L, which is different from the novel.
Different than the novel.
Pete, the kid who's been talking about the light all the time, turns out to be the winner. And also as the major, because it's the second, it's the winner is being chosen right now. The major personally walks up and shoots Ray as he says, "I'm sorry, Mama." So as winner, Pete requests, and he gets his request for his wish, and he realizes, you know what, I'm going to do Ray's plan, which is to shoot the major. So he gets a carbine rifle from one of the guards, which I like. They have an interplay. They're like, sure, yeah, you'll get a rifle. We'll get you a rifle if that's your wish. He's like, no, I want that rifle
Right now,
like,
as a
he's very
souvenir.
specific.
And
As a
it's
souvenir.
not like they're blind. The guy goes, "Well, sir, you know, he
okay.
could shoot you." And
Yeah.
he's like, he's a multimillionaire. He won't ruin that.
He's not going to
Give him
he's
the
not gonna
gun.
do this.
And of course he does it.
And he does for Ray.
Yeah.
He kills the major for Ray. And the crowd quiets, the rain quiets, and he just continues to walk down the road. It's left ambiguous, I believe, kind of like the novel, which also I read the plot summary of.
Same.
And it says that in the last kind of chapter, you're unsure of if it's even it might even be a delusion because they've been walking for so long. So it's unsure, unreliable narrator and such. Is Pete gonna get shot by the police because he shot the major? Does he have everything he needs? Is it going to actually impact anything? We don't know. Which,
And because
honestly,
it's a change from the ending of the novel, there is no authoritative quote unquote real answer, right? So I would argue that it's one of those stories where they very intentionally left you with a vague ending. I believe Wikipedia says it's unclear whether he hallucinated killing the major. I don't buy that. I believe that the pretty clear offer from the film is he definitely did shoot the major, and then it's intentionally unclear whether the last shot is him walking into heaven, so to speak, but he actually just instantly got gunned down, which is pretty viable. Or it's a poetic, like everyone's stunned into silence and he actually got away. But I guess I just find that hard to believe. I think he got gunned down and it's fine. That's okay though.
Well, I think nothing really changed is like kind of the interpretation of like, we don't see any result from the major's death. So how could we infer? We don't know what the society is.
Which resonates with his line, which is when Ray's like, what is this all for if we don't dismantle the whole game, if we don't Running Man it or whatever? Right. And Pete says, every moment matters in and of itself. That's one of the themes of the movie and story. Even though one of the themes, right, is why even make a new friend? We're all about to get shot in the head. Right. Because we're all going to die someday, but it is a pleasure to be walking with you on this day, speaking with my friend. Why not? Right. So that's a recurrent theme. So I think it's also just meant to resonate with, why not shoot the major? He needed to get got. It, you know, like, even if that won't bring down the whole system, it's good to do. It's like, right. Is where Pete lands with it, you know?
Which I
why
honestly
not do
it? Granted, I haven't read the words.
For my friend.
This is not like an actual take, other than to say that from what I have heard of the novel, I actually like this better because of that through line. Whereas there is clear indications in the novel, it's clear just by reading summaries of it, that there's also like a through line of Or like at the end, it's unclear as he starts to walk. He might be walking because he thinks he sees another walker. And he's like, well, I got to get back on the horse. You know, there's still someone I have to beat, which is like, I think is actually bad because that means it's paying it forward to you are an automaton still in the delusion of what the system has presented you as the only escape hatch.
I'm going to try and put a pin on it and remember my response. No, I'll say it so it doesn't get lost, but then we should move into the, because I do think there's a lot to talk about with this movie and I'm excited to get to it. But before I just forget, because the thought that inspires me is like, I read like the last couple pages and I read a couple interviews, but I didn't read it. But I will say, I got the strong impression, and it makes sense if you think about the time and place and what he was aiming it at, like things like the draft, that walker in the distance that he sees could be interpreted as himself in the future or the Grim Reaper. But the long walk is the walk towards death itself. And in the book, King was more using the metaphor as we can enjoy the spring air, even though someday we shall die, right? Like we can be friends, even though someday we shall die. And at the same time, he was, as sort of a side project, doing some jabs at like, also Republicans are bullshit, Reagan sucks. You know, like he was giving his opinion on the Vietnam War and shit. But I got the strong impression by tracking the changes and stuff that this movie really intentionally put a foot in today, like ripped from the headlines America. And the ending much more speaks to, no, the walk is the end of America, the collapse of America specifically, not just death as it befalls any man's life. Yeah.
Right.
And that's a strong choice. It's a big change.
It changes it a lot and it makes it a lot more wider in its considerations. This is bigger than your mom and you, is at one point Pete says.
Yeah. But in the book, it's that they offer him his prize and he just doesn't respond. He just keeps walking. And it's unclear of like, oh, is he just an avatar of walkingness now that can never stop walking? It's just like a tone poem ending.
Which is consistent with King, because if I recall, that's kind of the ending of Running Man. Even though the Running Man does dismantle the system, there's this feeling that it might just continue tomorrow.
Or even if you take it as like, even if fascism crushes us for thousands of years, there is a fundamental goodness. Because, you know, he also believes in hope springs eternal. That's Shawshank. Like, maybe you can't keep us down forever. We're still walking. We will come back someday, fascists. But nevertheless, this movie refocused that to be specifically like, no. It's going to be, there's only a couple white boys. It's like mostly Black Americans, marginalized people. They turn the dude into obviously like Chinese American, you know. Yeah. And these choices are not which is fine too. They're not just the representational way where they're like, let's get some diversity in there just because it's nice. I would argue, like we talked about with Parker, the native kid, no, they made Peter Black for very specific reasons. That I would love to unpack. So let's move it along through the segment I have the least to say about, which is Skeleton Crew.
Something in the mist! Shut the doors! Shut the doors!
Because I just said everything I know about the outside of this, other than the fact that it's a Bachman book. So if you are interested in reading the book, don't look up Stephen King, look up Richard Bachman. And I wanted to shout out David Johnson or Janssen as Peter, is the android from Alien Romulus, is between those two performances already one of my favorite actors of this generation.
He plays Andy in Romulus,
because the range is established now. I'm like, this character is so different from Andy. He's one of the few kids in the retinue with a Southern accent that I bought. This kid's a kid to watch. I know he's 25, but David Johnson fucking wrecks shop in this movie, dude.
By the way, he's 31 playing his 16-year-old.
He's playing like a 22-year-old, but okay. And then it's written by J.T. Molnar, and all I'll say is, after clocking the choices he made as the person adapting this, I haven't seen Strange Darling, which is the other big script he's known for, but now I really want to, because I thought this was such a smart script with real wisdom in it. Those lines I quoted, I'm like, that's another reason I compare it to TNG. You don't hear things much in our movies anymore that are hard-fought wisdom that a suffering person learned and brought back to us. And there's some of that in here.
Yeah. What is it? Yeah.
Oh, like
I can talk about that for hours.
Killing a man. When he says, are you sure that's what you want to do with your wish is kill a man? Because they've already taken so much from you. And he's like, right. And I want to take something back. And he goes, but you're just giving them more, man. Killing a man gives something of you away to just the void. Like killing a man's too hard unless you're a certain type of person. And Hoffman kid, Ray, says, then I'll become that kind of person. And he goes, then that'd be fucking sad. Because that kind of person doesn't appreciate the sky and wind and that this moment matters. You ever had a brother, Ray? Like, I'm choking up, dude. That's good writing,
it's
dude.
Good writing.
I don't know if that's King or Malner, but that's good writing.
Francis Lawrence, the director of this. He's got an interesting career, man. He did Constantine in 2005. That was his first, that was his directorial debut. And I thought that was like, you know, like hit and miss, but holy shit, you're going for it. He also did I Am Legend.
I haven't seen either of those.
And then he kind of, after the first one or two, I don't know how many there are, forgive me, Hunger Games, he's taken over the Hunger Games franchise, which, that's just young adult shit. And I think there's a new one coming out this year, but it's just like very interesting that he's
competent. Sure.
He has a very particular vein, and it reminds me a lot of Frank Darabont. I think we could see good King adaptations from this guy, is I guess what I'm saying. Hamill said around 2019 that he's gonna quit. He was gonna quit live action roles and just do voiceover. But then Flanagan came out, as we've talked about, first in The Fall of the House of Usher as that psychopathic lawyer. But then he got cast again by Flanagan in The Life of Chuck, which we covered fairly recently as the grandfather of Chuck. And then Another King here. So it's like this 3 movies now since 2019 where Hamill was like, I just want to, retire, do voiceover because that's great, be the Joker or whatnot. Also, speaking of the Joker, Mark Hamill felt that this character in particular is easily the worst character he's played, like worst as in like the most despicable character he's ever played, which I'm like, that's crazy.
He was Luke Skywalker. That
he was
fuckhead.
Luke Skywalker. And
it's also made me realize, or he is doing a voice in this, almost a Arlie Emery kind of thing. But to me, it sounds the most like, or I walked away going, man, Mark Hamill would have made a good Martok on DS9.
Yeah,
he talks like this. You've got to have. He's always got. Yeah, or like a SpongeBob pirate. Yeah.
Mark Hamill kills it every time.
Well, he's a phenomenal actor, as we all
never
know.
Takes his glasses off, like the cop in Cool Hand. Luke, stuff like that.
I also like that even they, and yet even he, for example, they made the choice to be like, his uniform is shabby and way too big for him, making him look almost like a little kid. Like they're clearly poor. Was a cool set decoration. Like America is poor. The military is poor.
Yeah, the guns.
The major they use cheap grade equipment and shit. Yeah.
The guns that are used in this film are not like 70s current. I know it's an alternate timeline, but like they're from World War II and stuff. Like the guns they're utilizing are actually like, I think the pistols are
very
like
good
1911
subtle
pistols
and cheap world building of impoverished future America.
Exactly. And I thought that was a nice touch. So good job, Lawrence. And then to end this little section, I wanted to do a quote that I think you'd like, which is King to Vanity Fair. I was writing this kind of brutal thing. It was hopeless. Just what you'd write when you're 19 years old, man. You're full of beans and you're full of cynicism. That's the way it is. So that's Stephen King saying to us, you have my blessing.
Yeah.
Is how I read that.
I'm full of piss and vinegar. I used to just be full of vinegar. Also, the last Trek connection, our guy is number 47. I don't know if that's true in the book, but
I think it is, but I don't know.
And then I don't know if it means anything, but Peter, his friend, is 33. So half of one less than 47.
Oh, interesting. Okay. In the movie, he's 61, I thought. No, in the novel, he's 61. Never mind. They probably changed that for that. I don't know what the numbers mean. I'm not a numbers guy.
Okay.
All right. Let's head into the section we both want to do.
Yeah.
Which is where we talk scene work themes and symbolism. It's called It.
Bill, if you'll come with me, you'll float too. Yellow too. Yellow too.
Ooh, yakasha. And while we're on the directing, I would love to throw out that I do have some knocks I'd like to get into eventually, but to keep the love train rolling, because this is the first movie I've seen in theaters since my son was born 7 months ago. I saw it alone, and I will say I was in a bad mood, and even though it was depressing and hopeless, my partner was right, who predicted was like, just the act of being in a movie theater will delight you. So I don't know if my perspective is skewed, but I'm like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. There weren't even babies there. It didn't smell like shit or nothing.
Yeah, that might be.
So with that in mind, will say I wept openly at this movie and made me think lots of great thoughts. And I really appreciated in its simplicity and the things that I will knock as even numbing or mundane. So like one of them, at first I was like, are you not going to play any left, right, left games? It's about a walk, man. You don't want to create a game that establishes traversal. This director almost always chooses to do a very play-like, comfortable, medium or close coverage, one shot, two shot, or however many kids are talking as they walk side by side towards camera at exactly 3 miles an hour. And the camera is also pulling back at staying equidistant. So very little change in frame. And in the background, there's a tank moving at the same pace. So it's also equidistant. And then I finally fucking realize, of course, because there's no finish line, they aren't making any progress.
There's no progress.
And they want you to feel, where are they even going? There's no sense of progress or traversal. And then halfway through the movie, I go, wait, that's actually brilliant. And I had several of those where I'm like, they're doing the thing. They're doing the thing. They have strategies that mean things about the story's themes. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's.
I really liked this movie.
There's several moments of that where it's just like, okay. Yeah, they're really showing the isolation. Yeah. I love that. I mean, this is just embedded in the novel, that unlike the Hunger Games, as I think I mentioned, it doesn't show any pageantry. It focuses on the isolation of the boys and that alone. We don't see people watching it in mass until like the very end, where there's like they have to do the zinger where it's like,
it would change everything if there was like an announcer, right? There's no narration, no announcer. Yeah.
It also means that all of the people that they do see, like the kid with the lost leg or the cop that's doing the salute, they all mean something now because they're so isolated in terms of like, there is not a lot of stimulus on the road other than burned cars and the same old kind of stuff, that when there is a momentous like insert of look at that fucking thing on the road, it means something. Like, I think the saluting is awesome because there's an interaction at one of the small towns where the police salute a policeman salutes the boys, and he's in the background. We don't even get a shot of him.
And you can easily deduce that he would be the equivalent of like a MAGA true believer, right? Or like he loves this and he honors their sacrifice because he believes all the shit the major says. Heroes. He thinks this is good for the country. And the kids hate him most of all.
And the kids like, you fuckhead.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like the so-called heroes curse the cause that you represent. And I just thought that was like, chef's kiss in that regard.
And they, like you said, they just show a really poor old woman who watches from a clapboard church house porch as if it's her solemn duty. And that's enough because there's so limited stimulus for you to know that that's this film consciously telling you she's symbolic of a wider. So it's, again, just effective, cheap world building. The sci-fi brain in me is like, okay, so Christianity has had a huge resurgence in this Depression era future. Got it. Just from the fact that she's there, I know that.
Yeah. It's real easy.
What'd you get from the guy with the missing leg? Just that there's no medical support in America anymore because he doesn't have a prosthetic?
It's a kid who's standing.
Yeah, it's like a 16-year-old with one leg and no prosthetic. So it's just a poverty thing. Maybe
it's just like this kid can't even walk. Like he can't even do the thing that the great white hope of America.
Right. Oh, if he won the lottery, he wouldn't even do it or whatever.
He wouldn't even be able to contribute. So it's just the idea that like down to its core, this cause is rotten. So we already pronounced. Well, we already pronounced and talked about one of the best scenes, with between the two of them, You're My Brother. And we can talk more about that. But there was one sneaky conversation about dad that I think is probably one of the most interesting conversations in the thing, which is that we get Ray saying, in justification for his like, I'm going to kill the major. I'm going to change things with my wish. He says, I'm convinced, speaking of his father, who's dead, he was the last good man on earth. And he kind of references, look at those fuckers on the road who like are just wishing for us to die. And look at all these soldiers, even my
These
mom, all
ghouls.
these people are just playing by the rules of this rotten system. My dad didn't.
As we, of course, in America are looking around going, like, why don't all the good people just go stop doing all that evil shit, you evil people?
Yeah.
And we all look at each other going, will that be you? Will that be you? Where's the soul of humanity, right? We're all doing that
And
right
he's talking about his dad's teachings and what his dad would sit him down and talk to him when he was a kid about. He talks about like he says the old ways, which I thought was
challenging books. Like you could phrase it in different ways.
Revolutionaries talk about how we need to change things, and you can deestablish the system, stuff like that. All that language. Rarely do you hear it in terms of tradition is the thing that's going to save us. And it made me realize that, this is uniquely an American tale. Because it's faith in a lost tradition is what it's all about. Even his father, the last good man on earth, is teaching him the old ways. Then Pete comes in after that statement.
Yeah.
And this is where I think that this is the sauce, which is because Pete is amazing. Pete's written amazing. He's a great guy. He has the right attitude about everything, in my opinion. I love Pete. Pete brings up that he's like, maybe your dad isn't so great. Because he had a choice and he chose to leave you and your mom. That pisses Ray off, right?
Well, because in the street, just to make it clear, they literally say, do you repent? If you say yes, I won't shoot you in the head. And he goes, no, I got to set a good example for my son or whatever. No, I defy fascism. And he gets shot in the head. And so Pete is like, have you ever thought of that as like a selfish choice? And he's like, fuck you, dude, as you would be.
And this is, and I do think that this is a character that's kind of underrepresented and ought not to be in this day and age. We talk about the relevancy of this particular movie because he says something next, which is, you're really only out here for vengeance. Nothing will change because you'll just kill a guy. And that will be the end of it.
And it's a complex, laborious, not poetic or romantic process. Actually changing the world in a way that helps people at scale. Yeah.
The Hunt came out or whatever. Remember that film?
Well, it's a new wisdom for the new generation that I'm glad we're enshrining because I see it in lots of stuff. And I see that the generation under me, more people are aware of this wisdom than my generation, which is the wisdom of cooperation, mutual aid is the way forward. Reaching over the aisle. I get it. It's all a little eye rolling. It's not about reaching out to someone who wants your destruction, but like he says, it's almost a bit of like he says, I've been walking my whole life. It's like, oh, now you want revenge on this crooked system. Now that you were personally impacted and traumatized, I want to improve the system because of the philosophical idea that humans deserve better than this. And Ray's great wisdom is to recognize, you know what? That's actually better than what I had. You go. And
you go.
And I love that they made him white and him black, because in a way, I do think it's a poignant time to say, like, who's likely at this time in America to actually cut the head off the snake? A white boy who grew up in privilege and wants emotional vengeance because they killed his dad and that's sad? Or like a black guy who's been plugging away his whole life and has the scars to show for it, literally, in the film. And they're old scars. And he agrees, oh yeah, everything's deeply fucked up. I have a plan to change it. It's incremental. It's not sexy, but here's what we're going to do. That's the guy who's the actual hero that we need today. And this movie identifies that. And I'm just like, wow, great. So cool.
No, it's fantastic.
Love Peter, dude. And love Ray for his great willingness to recognize, you know what? My vengeance is small. You're right. It's bigger than my vengeance.
And I do think that there is an underrepresented class of character here to sneak into all of that. The fact that he's like, you don't want change. You want to get even. You want
to own the libs or own the Republicans. And I don't conflate that with, that's unfortunately, you're confronted with a universe that involves nuance and complexity. So if anyone who's out there listening to this and a part of your brain is surfacing the thought, which I see so much now as a reaction, so I have to love someone who hates me. Like I'm trans and I have to love. No. Stick up for yourself. Employ all means necessary to. No, we don't tolerate intolerance. But that's different than getting cathartic emotional vengeance, which itself is an indulgence and not a useful one. And if you look at things like harm reduction in the modern sense of social work, like I just love that Peter's wish is, well, what if we could take them halfway towards eliminating and just the symbolism of, well, I think what will get us out of all of this is two humans' ability to link together in friendship. So that's what I'm going to wish for. He's like, I'm going to wish that me alone, I have one big gun so I can get the fucking blood of the Nazis on my hands. And he's like, that's cool. I'm going to wish that one more person survives. And then you're like, oh, that's actually way better. You humbled me. Your wish humbled me. And I thought I was being the righteous sort of vengeance.
And I'm open to the fact that I could be wrong about all this. And
but it moved me
forward is sheer violence, et cetera, et cetera.
And the fact that the guy, I love the complexity that it forces you to understand or accept. The guy whose message was, I need vengeance, chose sacrifice. And the guy, this is harder for modern audiences, the guy whose message was always choose love still decided it was necessary to shoot that man in the face.
Shoot that man. Exactly.
That's an important point too. Yeah.
Yin yang. It's not like, oh, we all, it's not just Jesus's message.
No,
you know, from on the mountain.
Both.
It's not just love thy neighbor. It
gives you all of it. Yeah.
It gives you like, look, we have complex times. We have to have complex answers.
Don't never defend yourself.
Another thing I liked that I didn't notice until the end is how much littering is in this. Like they go out of their way to talk about littering and people are casually littering all the time. And I like that because another very front facing metaphor, littering symbolizing hope in the future, or rather the lack of it, you know, like people who throw trash away don't think about the consequences of their actions.
Or believe that there's so much abundance that climate change is a hoax, nothing bad can ever happen. Like it's one delusion or the other,
Yeah, and it's obviously like, well, just trash America.
Dude, and I love how, I mean, knowing it's his first story is so interesting. The bully, the classic Stephen King bully, turns out to be not the bully, the government's the bully of all of us. It reminds me of the double entendre of titles like Parasite, where you're like, the parasite feeds on all of them, including the rich people. Or Triangle of Sadness, where I stand behind that the Triangle of Sadness represents 3 points. And the third point is like the system, man, is the third point of the Triangle of Sadness that fucks up the accord between people, like you said, who should otherwise be allied because we're all poor and the rich people are fucking all of us. It's like clearly rich versus poor is basically the only one that matters. Yeah. But yeah, also just so that the bully is like, well, fuck me, I'm just gonna spiral out because it's No Country for Old Men. Like I can't hack it in this world. I'm like, that's chilling, because if Stephen King is presenting a Stephen King bully who's so crazy you better be scared of him, and he can't hack it, so he kills himself. What world are we in? That's such a cool offer. Yeah,
that's a good dystopic offer.
And this is so weird that it's such a doom movie. But I was going into this movie very doomy because listen to Star Trek The Next Futurama if you want the whole scoop, but I just had some butt surgery done. So I was in a bunch of pain. So I took OxyContin, which I'd never taken before. For like
makes movies great.
For like no, I wasn't on it for the movie. The opposite, my friend. For a few weeks leading up to the movie, I was on Oxy and then I was off it, which I didn't know if you're prone to depression triggers depressions. So I was in a deep depression. And when I saw this movie, I was depressed. And so ironically that like, even though it's so full of doom, the fact that he said like, no, every moment matters, even at the end, especially at the end, made me be like, it really buoyed me. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stop. Not that I'm fighting fascism in a way I can be proud of every day, but I'm like, I'm not going to give in to doom. Peter's right. You got to fight the Nazis even as they shoot you in the head at the last moment. Like, just because why not? It's better than not. Like, Like I walked out of this doom movie with a lot of hope that I didn't come in with.
Look at you all fucking Siddhartha in the river and shit.
Peter, I really found to be an inspiring character, and
well written.
And I thought Molnar, or if this is just word for word from the book, King, but like the dialogue by the end was really organic human, naturalistic, using repetitive phraseology really well. Like, I was bawling by the time when he said, "What are you doing? Being a brother to my brother. You're my brother, Pete. I'm choosing love, Pete. You can still see love and I can't. That's why I love you, Pete. I love you, Pete." That's a good, I could break down, but like there's complex reasons that much repetition is good in that moment and stupid elsewhere.
Stupid also. That's the thing, is it's all building up to something.
So I will say, to move to Knox, the opening act felt very play-like and forced to me. Just like we're cramming through this kid's this kid, this kid's that kid. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. It's hard for some stuff not to feel dated. Like all these kids know all the lyrics to My Darling Clementine, including the verses. And, you know.
Well, it is the 70s.
I guess, but I will never be able to buy what I call kingisms. Like when, what's his name? I forget the gum kid's name, but I tell you, your plan and the stuff from my asshole bear a striking resemblance. I'm like, yeah. Okay, Steven. Like I can never not.
I love the Stevenisms. I'll take every one of them.
You smell like a dick that came out of a butt. Your mom probably farts in your milk in the morning. Like all this shit like that, dude. I can't handle it.
I love, fuck boys, I'm raring to rip.
I'm raring to rip, boys. Are you? Oh, I'm raring to rip. And then I love it. Well, what's really confusing to me is that's the moment where Barkovich goes, yeah, it's like when my grandma eats her bran flakes in the morning with her robe open, you know what I mean? And they all look at him like, that was a really weird thing to say, you weirdo. And I'm like, the shit you just said is just as weird. Fuckers. But
you guys all suck.
Like,
but of course.
Yeah, grandma bran flakes. No one says that in the 70s. We say raring to rip. Oh, I did want to ask you. One I didn't get anything from, but I'm curious about. I actually forgot to take a note of who says it. But one of the main characters' dying words is they repeat, "God's garden is full of weeds. God's garden is full of weeds."
Oh, yeah. Who is that?
Do you think the weeds are just the Nazis? I mean, it was one of the Bible people because it's a Bible line.
Yeah.
But what did you come away? I came away with I'm not sure what that meant to the screenwriter.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has to do with like the garden is a philosophical idea of paradise, right? And the weeds are an externality, to use, I guess, an economics term. Mm-hmm. The idea that you're influenced by everything. So the symbol itself is altered by like what's around it. There's another metaphor with the dead crow. There's a tied up dead crow. I think that it's important that it's a bird because a bird represents flight. So the wires that kind of pull it against the fence, I think, are the weeds. It's the idea that we inhabit our environment, and our environment can be paradise, but the weeds themselves force us not to be able to see the paradise or to get closer to paradise, I guess is my interpretation of it. I don't know if that's what you got. No,
but that's why it's so interesting. That's why I get more after talking about it. Mm-hmm. I was interested in the fact that, of course, an obvious question people ask, I think, when presented with the concept, much like Hunger Games, is why would this create abundance? How would this inspire people? Just like, why would the purge? GDP. Why would the purge make there be no crime? Or I don't know. What's the connection really? But I gotta say, I do feel like we're living through a period where I do see big chunks of America act in ways that are totally dissociative, where they're like, I can't afford rent, so trans people are trying to molest my kid in the bathroom. Like, that's equally nonsensical. Or like things like
that's right.
I don't know. I do feel 1984 taught me this first, and is why I think it's such a classic. Yes, the human brain can be warped by systems into total delusion. You can be taught to believe there are 4 lights, black is white, 2 + 2 is 5. The human brain is that malleable. You are not tethered to the truth in any special way. Yeah, has been clear to me for some time now.
And especially when the scammers get into the psychology of the psychology,
or get super good at marketing, right? And they know all the tricks. Yeah.
For example, there's this one
propaganda is very sophisticated.
Something
at this
I noticed
point.
in Life of Chuck and in this is Stephen King adaptations seem to love moms singing in memories, and it's like that. So you take an object like you take a feeling like that. You take like, oh, my mom's singing, this is home, this is home. That's your brain telling you, giving yourself a dose of nostalgia, giving you your center.
That's what life's about. That moment matters.
When the scammers come in and they start grifting on like, well, even that is an interpretation of a lack of reality and you actually are delusional. Yeah, the brain is a delusion. Everything is delusion. Stop trying to convince me that this delusion, which I don't even think is that delusional, affects that other delusion.
That's why I think
we're just pointing at things.
We're,
no.
In a way, is a dangerous statement. We're not married to truth enough in spheres like the media and public square. But in another way, philosophically on our cores, I think we're often too married to the truth. And that's why I've always so appealed to the life view of Vonnegut, of the FOMA, which is lies we choose to believe, which is basically the idea that if you jive with perception is flawed to the degree that you'll never know stuff for sure, and the universe is more than you can comprehend. And in the Buddhist sense, a lot of things are illusory at their base and constructs. If you grant all that, don't worry so much about like, oh, I live by this rule of thumb because it feels good and it makes me nice. Is it true? Who gives a shit? It makes you feel good and it makes you nice to the people around you. Like the way he says it is live by the lies, the FOMA, that make you strong and proud and love yourself and love the people around you. Like, why not? Yeah. Or no one has a better plan than that. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't trust people who are like, no. Nature's order, like the true way it has to go is this way. God. No one knows that. Don't believe anyone who says that.
You also gave me, just because in the terminology,
it's unnatural.
The idea of the FOMO, it made me realize once again how great Deadwood is.
So good.
Which is that there's a series of episodes called the lie agreed upon.
Yeah.
Which is a Nietzsche reference, right? But
which is, I think, like the lie once agreed upon becomes true.
It's a dual thing. It talks about like an infidelity, the lie agreed upon. We're not going to talk about the fact that I'm sleeping on you with this woman in town. But it's also the lie agreed upon of it's a huge moment for the camp in terms of they all have to agree that we are civil people so that America will be just America will say you yourselves can govern yourself because you are not uncivilized people. You're not savages. And they're like, we are savages, but we're going to all agree upon this lie so that we can actually move forward and become civilized. And I think that there's power in that, believing in the lie. Yeah. Even though the lie and truth are indiscernible for some, but you have to really just ask yourself what matters. Right.
And the Christo-fascist, like geopolitical extension of that being them trying to take images of slavery out of the National Library of Congress right now and shit, where they're like, no. Let's all pretend. And that's what's beautiful and tough about life and why I love movies and talking about movies that make me think about and talk about interesting things like this. Life will never stop being so complex that you need to apply your attention and your good faith and your work to navigate it. Like, yes, everything is an illusion, but that doesn't mean you should believe in nothing. You have to judiciously develop and apply your best instincts. Life is hard. Sorry. It's complex. Yeah. There's a lot of it.
But don't blame that guy for it. He's trying.
Yeah.
Life is
and
hard
if someone comes and tells you, no, life is simple, just do this 7 steps that I say, that's either a salesman or a Nazi. So just be aware of that warning.
Yeah. It's the long
walk. And we've made the long walk to our final segment, if that's all right with Abe.
Absolutely.
Where we decide not which movie did it better, but we rank them all. And I'll save my last knock for that.
We have
segment,
some rankings,
which is The Stand.
Time to make your stand.
So you want to go first or second?
I can go first.
Please do then.
So I'm putting it's in the solid category.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start, just so people understand and they don't have to go back, I'm going to start at 7. My 7th favorite film from the ones that we covered. And we covered 35, by the way. Congratulations, everybody. Dolores Claiborne. 8, 2017's It. 9, Carrie. 10, Gerald's Game. 11, Cat's Eye. 12, Cujo. 13, It Chapter 2. 14, The Running Man. And 15, The Long Walk. Just over Life of Chuck, something else that came out this year.
Life of Chuck's right under that.
I put Life Chuck. So I put it at like on the top half of my solid. It's not yet elite. Where I draw the line at Gerald's Game. I think that's
Do you draw
final.
What
film.
number is that?
And that's like 10.
Oh, okay. You don't draw the line at 5. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'd consider elite. I'd probably consider my top 8 my elite. Top 9, something like that. Yeah, so similar. The movie made a big impact on me. As I said, I had to struggle with the bias of it's the first movie I've seen on a big screen for a long time. But nevertheless, I read the lines again the writing really impacted me. David Johnson or Janssen, I will learn the correct, I think, is a fucking force. Philip Seymour Hoffman kid is fine.
I think he's killing it.
Everyone's killing it, but I have it's hard to win me over if you're a Nepo baby. I do have a strong bitterness about that. For all I know, David Johnson is too, but I don't know that. So I have that chip taken away and I'm like, that guy rips. He's the hero of the movie. But also to leaven that, I'll say, even though I pointed out how cool it is that the shots are all the same and it makes it feel numbing, it does become numbing. And something I really liked is when they first showed the shot of the first kid getting executed, it's just a really plain close up of a really photorealistic headshot. And that brought up all these opinions in me like, man, now that CG is so good that you can just make it realistically look like someone got their head blown off, that's all we do. We just cut to, let's just fully show it. And like, Hitchcock would roll over in his grave or like whatever, like I miss tact or I miss art. And even if you are trying to rub gore in my face, I don't know that it's the most effective way. Like Funny Games hardly shows gore, but it feels really gory. Like, so I'm thinking all these thoughts. Then the movie unfolds and I realized that's the only time he did that. It was in fact, that was the one to establish that's what it feels like. Now I can show them in the background every single other time because you remember what it feels like. We showed you one kid get shot gruesomely in the head. So what turned out to be, I thought, mistakes, later, I feel in retrospect were like strategy. So I'm like, wow, hand it to you. But at the same time, the first act, as in many, many first acts I find in Hollywood movies just across the board, feels really labored and forced, like everyone's just trying to set up the movie as quickly as they can and the stakes and rules as quickly as they can. And even some of the acting comes through forced in that way. And then I also felt like by the virtue of the nature of the setup, it does actually feel like a structural cop-out that all the big character reveals are by choice gate-kept, meaning Peter does at several points. He goes like, well, as long as we're friends, why don't you tell me where you got that scar? And he goes, because it's not time yet. And Ray is like, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what my wish is later. Then when it's time for the Act 3 break, he goes, hey, guess what? I want to tell you. The thing that a character would tell you to kick into Act 3 is that I'm secretly on a double mission. And if you know writing, you'll hear in my voice the laziness that implies. Like that is a very easy way to structure.
A lot of King movies have this.
Like for a character to come up and go, now I'm ready to tell you my deep dark secret, is almost like that Futurama where the devil goes, you can't just say I'm angry. It makes me angry when characters do that. Like it does piss me off. So those being my knocks, see the whole podcast for my goods. It did land in my elite, which I would describe as like the top 8. Fun fact, Darabont was in contention to adapt this, through the years, but never did. I think he would have done a good job too.
Getting misty.
And it's right around where I put The Mist. The Mist is my number 9. It Chapter 2 is my number 8. The Long Walk is my new number 7. And It Chapter 1 is my number 6. And then it goes Misery, Stand By Me, Dr. Sleep, The Shining, Shawshank. So it rocketed right up to my top 10. I was honestly going to put it above Misery. And then after thinking about it, really sobering up, trying to take away the recency bias, trying to take, it settled down to 7. And I also really enjoy the contrarianness of putting something in between Chapter 1 and 2 of it. So that appealed to me because I'm a Sega boy. I'm a Pepsi guy. I'm just
You're
like
contrarian to yourself.
Well, I'm like a normal person would keep it chapter 1 and 2 together. So I like that I'm splitting them up.
Maybe, I don't know. You're not as high as I am on Dolores Claiborne.
I'm not. Say in a one sentence what's so enduringly great about that to you. So
the
what hangs with you.
complexity of everyone's expectations of you.
Nice.
And the clarity to cut through it. It's also what's the Ebbing, the what's the fucking one with Frances McDormand?
3 billboards outside Ebbing,
3
Missouri.
billboards.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that. But Dolores
Yeah.
Claiborne is like, to me, it's OP, Kathy Bates and stuff like that. But yeah, it's all about the expectations and the like, how are we allowed to heal ourselves if everyone thinks something about us? Well, that's because it's you who has to heal, and you have to make up with your daughter, and you have to stop, doing all these things. But yeah, no, I mean, all of the elites have a hidden message, I would argue, or not hidden, but like, if you just look a little bit into it.
Something to say. We usually like movies that have something to say.
You and I definitely were all about that. And I will agree that while I'm sitting at Long Walk at 15, like something like Cujo or The Running Man, like if you evaluate that based on kind of how we just talked about it, those don't really have a lot to offer.
I mean, I think The Running Man is corny and boring. Like it seems dated and hokey and boring.
So I will admit to my nostalgia, goggles on that one, but also I will defend it. I will go to the mat for Running Man.
Straightforward action movie.
yeah, but it's rad.
I know everyone hates me for saying. The other one I feel social pressure about is Misery. I recognize how great it is, and it's standing strong at 5. But I will say, when I watch it, I'm not like, what a fucking banger, what a banger. I'm just like, yeah, it's very, very good. It's very good. Yes, this is very good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If only Dolores Claiborne had the line Sub-Zero, more like Plain Zero, it would be my number 1. Get out of here, Shining. Get out of here.
It's almost as if you don't gain a lot by methodically pitting stories against each other. I could just enjoy Dolores Claiborne and The Long Walk and Misery.
I think when we started this podcast 35
you may have said something along those lines.
I made something along the lines of, I hate this, we shouldn't do this.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time.
But here we are.
The stand.
I'm going to make a stand. And they're at the bottom, as always, Michael Jackson's Ghosts.
Right. I believe that's true for me, unless if it's not Maximum Overdrive.
It's
Salem's Lot, 1979.
Oh yeah, that one
because
is
in my
boring
opinion,
as shit.
The worst thing you can do is get everyone together and just be boring as shit.
The most boring.
That's the ultimate crime.
There's a few of those.
Michael Jackson's Ghosts, not boring as shit.
Not boring.
No, not
That's
boring.
true. That's true. It's such a shame to me. Every time I look at this list, when I look down at the bottom and what I have in the section real shit.
Yeah.
At the top of that list, 32 is Dreamcatcher, and it always pains me.
Because it's actually entertaining to watch while we're on that.
But it's also William Goldman.
Oh, yeah,
Goldman.
which is fucking crazy. Yeah, that's true.
And I'm like, the man who did Princess Bride.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah.
The most beloved screenwriter of all time.
And what's the other one that feels wrong to me? Oh, well, just that I disagree with everyone. Everyone always says The Mangler is boring, specifically in our community, I guess because there was famously a Gamefully movie night where they watched The Mangler and the bit became dunking on how boring it is. I think The Mangler is super entertaining. It's got claymation monsters crunching up your bones and stuff. It's got a guy it's got Robert Englund as a guy, in the bathtub with the glass eye. It's good.
Right. Mangler. But I mean, we attach ourselves to whoever we want. The Running Man has a guy who sings opera and he's like a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah.
Do you care about that?
Stupid and boring.
Yes or no? Doesn't matter.
No, don't care.
Does not matter.
No.
But here we are. I have The Mangler.
I am excited for the new Running Man, or at least I'm always in theory excited for an Edgar Wright.
I'm in theory.
Yeah.
Excited about that. I think they got a good team over there. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
I think that's next year, or is that the end of this year? Either way, we'll be covering it when it does.
I gotta go.
Until we cock again.